Oh, that's new. All right. Do you all see just this page of battling burnout?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. So sorry that took a little bit of time, and thanks for your patience with that. Um, Penelope and I wanted to talk a little bit about burnout today because we can see that um, people in real estate really haven't had a break since last summer. Usually, once you get through summer and you get to August, September, you get to a point where really September, October, you get to a point where you can kind of breathe. And that didn't really happen this year. Everything kind of catapulted even crazier this year. So we wanted to just talk a little bit about how you can handle the buildup of stress and anxiety and things as you go on. And that's not necessarily with real estate, it's with all different areas of life. But we definitely can see it happening most often in real estate with compounded showings, a lot of clients, a lot of closings, a lot of appraisals coming low, just the constant hustle of being at your client's service, and it builds up over time. So we just wanted to kind of talk about that since we're midway through summer and we never really got that chance to breathe in the winter and fall like we normally do. We don't know how the rest of the year is going to go, but it might be the same. So stress and burnout. Burnout's been recognized by the World Health Organization as an occupational phenomenon. It is not it's not been designated as a mental health condition or any sort of health condition, but it's something that leads to depression. And so the World Health Organization has recognized it as this occupational phenomenon. P sent me a thing from an article from the New York Times, I think, and it was talking about how burnout, the concept of burnout has been around for a long time. So it's been around, there are references to it in the Bible even. And in history, throughout history, there are a lot of instances of people saying like, I just can't handle it anymore. I just don't even want to do this anymore. And that's a big sign of burnout. So it's not a new thing. I think I kind of imagined it being more of a cultural thing today that we're seeing, but it's not. It's been around forever, and it's just kind of a component of life. So it's really important that we understand how to deal with it. Across the world, 3 out of 5 people say they're burned out. An updated study in 2020 put that number at 3 and 4 instead of 3 and 5. So the number is definitely growing. I think in the US, it's even more so than countries around the world. If you listen to different books, podcasts, anything like that, talking about different cultures around the world and how they look at their job and look at work. The US puts a lot bigger focus on work and the job and less focus on resting and relaxing and recharging and family life. And so I think it's something that definitely plagues us here in the US, and something that we should be aware of because of that. So there's a podcast that I listened to a few months ago that was it was a Brene Brown podcast. You can find it on Spotify. It's with the Nagoski sisters, and they've written this book called Burnout, and it's really geared toward women, but it's really helpful in talking about the physiological effects of burnout and what burnout does to your body. And burnout is something that is basically compounded stress over time. So burnout happens when you get stuck in this emotion, when you get stuck in a tunnel of emotions. They talk about how emotions are tunnels. You enter the tunnel, you enter the emotion, you're in the emotion, you're feeling it, and then you see the light at the end of the tunnel. The emotion calms down, whether it's good or bad, and you exit the tunnel and you move on from that emotion. And getting stuck in the tunnel of negative emotions is where burnout happens. You just get stuck in a rut of negativity and feeling down and feeling like you're never doing enough. What leads to that is you're constantly trying to meet a million demands and still at the end of the day feeling like you haven't done enough. As a mom, that's like every day. But I think I think that's why the book targets women, because it plays into working moms and um, balancing that at work and at home, where you're constantly just going and doing and serving others. And it becomes a beatdown over time. It just compounds and compounds until you can't handle it anymore. So we're trying to meet all these demands from our clients and from all the people that are in our lives and that we're trying to service and trying to help in real estate. And we just um, can't handle it all, basically, and it builds up and compounds. Benign tiredness leads to stress, which leads to anxiety, which leads to emotional exhaustion. And once you get to that point of emotional exhaustion, you've been through the stress, you've been through the anxiety building up over time. That's where it really sets in and solidifies. A lot of the book talks about identifying stressors versus stress and separating the two. So they use several different analogies in the book, but one just in real estate is you're working with a horrible client. You've been working with them 2 months. You've been driving all over the city trying to find them a house. You've put in 6 offers for them before they realize they have to offer at least list price or above, or that they have to pay for title policy or whatever it is in this market. You get them under contract finally on the 9th offer. So you're already sick of them. You're already sick of each other. You're already sick of the situation. You're wanting to move on. And you finally get them under contract. Then you go through the option period and they want to ask for the sun, moon, and stars for repairs in this market. And then you finally get out of that and then you get a low appraisal. And it's just a beatdown of one negative thing after another. You start questioning yourself and how you're doing as their agent, and maybe you're not advising them correctly. And so you get stuck in that sort of self-doubt, negativity. You get stuck in the negativity with the other agent, and you're battling with them throughout the whole transaction. At this point, you've worked with a person 3 or 4 months and you're just tired. And you get to that closing day, you're so excited, you're going to move on from this client. You maybe talk to them once or twice in that following week to answer some questions. And then at the end, you kind of just move on. And you think, well, the stressor's gone. The stressor was this client, was the situation. They're gone, so I'm better. Everything's good. And that's not really how it works. All that time dealing with that person has built up the stress inside of you. The stress is what's inside of you that is affecting, hear the rooster, that's affecting your body and affecting your everyday. And sometimes you don't even feel it. Sometimes you do feel it. Sometimes it's like high blood pressure or your heart, or you're getting headaches. That was a huge trigger for me. I would get these tension headaches, and just so much tension in my neck and my jaw, and it would cause these horrible headaches. I would start losing sleep. All of the stress that's actually inside of you is built up over time from working with that client, and it doesn't just go away when you close. It doesn't just go away when you get rid of the client. You've got to actually get that out of your body. And that's where you get stuck in that rut of burnout and of just being dragged down day over day. And so that's kind of what the book talks about, is actually handling that stress, handling that those symptoms inside of yourself and getting your body back on track. Because that's what causes problems, is the buildup of stress over time, not the stressor. You can deal with the stressor a lot easier than you can deal with the stress itself. The rooster's right outside my window, guys, sorry. Talking first about the components of burnout, and then we'll go into what leads up to it. But the components of burnout, what it really means. I saw Troy said, have stress, get a chicken, problem solved. This rooster is causing me stress. So the first component is emotional exhaustion. Again, you've spent too much time caring, and you've spent too much of your bandwidth and your energy caring for others and about the outcome of others and the situation at hand, the deal that you're working on, whatever it is. And you're just tired. You're just tired and exhausted with it and over it. and you can't get past it. The next is depersonalization. So you lose your capacity for compassion, empathy, and caring for others or particular outcomes. I When I read this, I can recognize several times definitively where I just wanted to throw my hands in the air like, all right, I surrender, I'm done, checked out. I don't even care anymore. I don't care what happens in the situation. I can't physically handle it anymore. And of course, you get past that and you jump back in and you handle the situation, but that's a big red flag that you're there, and that you're in that burnout phase when you start to lose that compassion and lose that care for the situation and the outcome of the situation that you one time had been so passionate about. Um, I think about last summer with mid COVID and having a baby at home, and I definitely started to detach from family and from things. I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to talk about COVID anymore. I didn't want to hear COVID ever again. I wasn't really back in the swing of things working. I was full on stay at home mom mode, which was different for me, and all the boys were at home, and it was just a lot. Tillman was working from home. It was just a lot compounded. And I think over time I just started to detach and didn't want to talk to anyone. And so that's a big sign as well. Most people in real estate too are pretty social people, and they have a lot of friends and a big network. And once you start pulling back from that and kind of hiding in your corner, that's a pretty good sign that you're there. Decreased sense of accomplishment. So the feeling that nothing you do matters and you have low desirability to produce any results. So same thing, you're on the hamster wheel, you're going, 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 and you feel yourself getting nowhere. You feel yourself at the end of every day just falling in bed exhausted, and then getting up the next day thinking like, all right, well, here we go again, and just no excitement or positivity for the day. It's a pretty good sign that you are burnout. So the 5 stages of burnout, I thought this was really, I can see myself in this in my time in real estate. Most people, when they get into real estate, they're so excited to help people and to show houses and to do all the fun stuff, all the HGTV stuff that you think real estate is going to be. And then once you get in it, after a few months, you realize that it's not exactly what you thought it was. And that's pretty much universal. Everybody kind of hits that point where it's like, oh, my job's not all showing houses and looking at pretty houses. It's actually lead gen, which is super boring sometimes. So your job satisfaction wanes. You came in with a lot of creativity and commitment and all these marketing ideas and all these things that you want to do, and you're going to do it the best. And then after you get some clients working, you get that first low appraisal, you get that first burn from a client where they go to the builder without you. Like, we have all been there, and it eats at you and beats you down. So you start getting into that second stage of onset of stress where you get anxiety and fatigued. Biggest trigger for me is headaches. When I start getting headaches, I know I'm there. And like I said, I get this tension. I have to take medicine for them. I have to go lay down. I'm not able to sleep through the night, waking up multiple times a night, and I'm wide awake. And I'm not just wide awake like insomnia, can't go back to bed. I'm wide awake and my mind is racing with all the things that I need to remember to do tomorrow. And I can't get those things out of my head. And I think that's pretty common for realtors because we are our own business, and it's a lot falls on us. A lot of communication, a lot of things that if you drop the ball on, it could be big for your client, and it could cause them to not be able to move into their house or not get as much money as they thought they were going to get. It's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress that puts on you. So that's where it starts building up. And then you enter the third stage after you've been in that second stage in the onset for a while, and you don't get any reprieve. You get angry, you get cynical, you have increased caffeine and alcohol consumption. This also said drug consumption in some cases. For me, I definitely drink more coffee. I definitely drink more wine at the end of the day when I'm stressed, because I feel like that will help me to release when really it doesn't. You get resentful, you get sick of your job, you get pressured, or you feel out of control and not in control of your situation, and like nothing, you can't do anything to help your situation. Then you get into burnout. You have behavioral changes, detach from the people you love, self-doubt, social isolation, and then chronic physical issues. So chronic headaches, chronic stomach issues, chronic bowel issues, and you just want to escape. You want to tap out and be done. I would say every September I was in this phase. Every single September I was like, don't talk to me for 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't want another lead. I don't want to go meet with any new clients. I don't want to do anything else for 2 weeks while I recover from this crazy summertime. And I know a lot of agents who are that way. And so that's kind of why we wanted to do this class early in the summer, so that you can see that coming, and you can do some of the things daily to help keep yourself from getting there. The habitual burnout is the bad one. That's burnout syndrome, which is what's recognized by the World Health Organization now. It's chronic mental fatigue, physical fatigue, chronic sadness, and leads to depression. So it can turn into some pretty serious, negative, awful stuff if it goes too long without being resolved. So basically, in the book Burnout, they talk about completing the stress cycle. And in order to get out of that tunnel of emotion and tunnel of negativity, you have to complete the stress cycle before you can move on. Getting rid of the stressor is the first step. That's great. Or at least figuring out a way to handle the stressor so that it's not putting so much pressure on you. That's definitely great, but that's not going to get rid of everything inside of you that's wearing down on the inside. So physical activity, exercising 20 to 60 minutes a day. Of course, we all know we're supposed to exercise every day. It's just a matter of actually doing it consistently. They said punching a pillow, dance party in the living room. They said laying down and tensing up your whole body and just holding it, just as putting that physical tension into your body and then just releasing it over and over can help get that out. Creativity, so painting, sculpting, drawing, coloring. You've seen those adult coloring books. There's a method to that. It creates a context for expressing emotions and just getting it out. It kind of zens your brain and helps you get out something for yourself, helps your brain to calm. Laughing increases satisfaction, releases endorphins. Of course, we all know laughing's good for you. And that kind of ties into the fifth one with physical affection and personal connection. Personal connection with people who like, respect, and trust you goes a long way. So people that you like and respect and trust as well, your confidant, your people, whether that's your spouse, whether that's your best friend, whether that's your sibling, your parent, whatever it is, connect with people and don't withdraw. Don't lose that personal connection. I can't remember how long, like a 10-second hug can have some crazy effects on your mood. And laughing out loud, belly laughing with your friends can help you complete that stress cycle and get out of that funk of negativity. So it could just be as simple as a dinner out with friends and away from all the stresses that you're experiencing. Crying gets a bad rap because crying is looked at as weak because it's looked at as a response to the stressor. So if I cry about something, it's about an angry client or a client being a jerk to me, which I've absolutely done before. That's seen as weak because it's a response to that client, when really crying is a mechanism to release the stress. It's a way to get that physical stress out of your body. I know it's not for everyone. I know people are still going to look at it as weak. I'm not saying that that's going to miraculously change now that I've said this, but don't guilt yourself for crying in a stressful situation. I remember like kind of a big turning point for me, and I'm kind of a crier. I remember a big turning point for me. I had this horrible client who was treating me like garbage. They were being so horrible to me. And I was pregnant and I was tired and I was exhausted. And it was around like August, September timeframe. And my parents were here and I was laying on the couch just crying. And they kept asking, like, what can we do to help? Do you need something? Do you need us to make a plan to move down here when the baby comes? Is that what's stressing you out? Nope. I just need to get it out. And I did. And I felt better after I did. But that was a huge turning point for me because I didn't have the answer. I didn't know what would make that situation better because I was just in a rut and tired and stressed. So have a good cry. It helps. And then deep breathing sends messages to your brain that you need to relax and tones down your fight or flight response. This one I wanted to hit on because it's kind of a sidetrack from burnout, but it is in this burnout book and talks about it. I had never heard of this human giver syndrome until I read the book. But basically, as human beings, we have a duty to take care of our being first. We should always take care of our being first, kind of like Adam said the other day in our department call. Always put your mask on before you help others. You can't help others unless you take care of yourself first. And I couldn't remember exactly how Adam said that, or else I would have put it in here. But that's basically what we are supposed to do and what we are supposed to be on this earth is take care of yourself first and then take care of others. Human giver syndrome is where you have a contagious belief that you have a moral obligation to give every drop of your being and every drop of your humanity to support others. This is like mom syndrome right here to me. This is classic moms. I can think of so many moms that are like this, who just let others take advantage of them, their kids or others, their kids or clients or whoever. They give with no taking care of themselves, nothing back in return. People are usually most ungrateful for those who give the most to them. You think you have to be calm, generous, and attentive to everyone's needs at all times. You believe that you can't keep it together and meet others' needs all the time. Then you're a failure. And then your failure to meet the needs of others makes you feel undeserving of love or unworthy as a human. You feel like your whole self-worth is made up of giving to others and making sure that others are okay. And it doesn't work like that. You have to take care of yourself first. And they say that the best way to do that is to connect with something bigger. So you're not here to fulfill the needs of others. You've got to take care of yourself first. And then to end, this is the quote from that podcast, Unlocking Us, that they did with the authors of Burnout. So the stress itself will kill you faster than the stressor will unless you do something to complete the stress response cycle. While you're managing the day's stressors, your body is managing the day's stress. It's absolutely essential that your well-being, that you give your body the resources that it needs to complete the stress response cycles that have been activated. So again, you can deal with the stressor pretty easily, but you have to do one of those 6 things that are the proven tactics to resolve the stress in your body in order to move on from it and release yourself from that stress. If it compounds, if it builds up, you will be dealing with burnout. So I'm going to stop sharing and then speaker view. All right. So Penelope and I wanted to talk a little bit about things that we've done in our time in real estate to set boundaries for our clients, to manage our time and to make sure that we are not getting to that burnout phase. Like I said, pretty much every year I'm unsuccessful with that. And I get to September and I'm just done. But I do feel like I've gotten better over time at seeing it coming and knowing my own triggers and when I'm getting there. So P, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've done?
Sure. I've definitely been on my own journey of battling burnout, and I've recognized it looking back. I'm bad at recognizing it at the time, but I have gotten better at that. And some of the things that I actually had a coaching call. I remember one time, it was the end of summer, same time of year that Kendall was talking about, August, September timeframe. And I had, 12 or 13 contracts working, a handful of other really demanding clients. And I was just super burnt out, super over it. And I did a coaching call with a real estate coach at the time. And there were a few things that he basically held me accountable to doing. And I think that's an important piece as well, is sometimes when you're stuck in this cycle and you're feeling the burnout, you feel so helpless, and it's really difficult to see past that or pull yourself past that. And you're like, I just don't have time for that. I don't have time to, go exercise for 30 minutes or go to the gym. I don't have time to meditate. And you kind of just get stuck in this self-defeating cycle. And I was at the point where I just was really questioning and self-doubting if real estate was for me. And so some of the tactical tools that he gave me were, first of all, he made me put my phone on do not disturb from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. because I had a really bad habit of responding to clients' emails at 10 o'clock at night or waking up at 11, midnight, and feeling like, oh, I've got to do this thing, or there was so much on my mind. And so he encouraged me to put my phone on do not disturb from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And this was 5-6 years ago, and it's still that way today. And when I would meet with new clients, I would let them know my phone will be on from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if you need to get a hold of me past that, please email me, please text me, and I'll respond to you first thing in the morning. And I never had a client who faulted me for setting those boundaries with them. Another thing that he held me accountable to was, right now, I want you to look at your calendar and I want you to put a 4-day vacation on your calendar. And that was something I was super resistant to. I just felt like I couldn't do that. I had too much going on in my life. And he said, it can't be 2 days. It can't be a weekend. It has to be 4 days, because that is the time that you really need to disconnect and unplug and recharge. And so I ended up doing it. We went to Wimberley, which wasn't too far away, but it was still such a nice reprieve and break. And I really came back feeling refreshed. And not only, during that time, was I able to disconnect, but I was able to really lean on the support staff that we had in place, my transaction coordinator, which was another thing that I just had a difficult time doing at that point. I felt like I needed to be in control of everything. And so that was another thing, was to really lean on other people and the support staff and learn how to delegate tasks. And so something that I still do to this day is brain dump. When I have a bunch of things on my mind, I write them all down on a list. I have one right here next to me right now. And I just brain dump it all out. And I go through and say, okay, is this something that I need to do? Is this something that I can delegate? Or is this something that is a priority right now, or is not? Because you can get so overwhelmed with everything going on in your head. It's good to just kind of brain dump it all out there, get it out of your mind, and then put a plan in place of how you're going to tackle each item. And so those were really some things that I implemented in my own life. And I established a very sacred morning routine for myself. And that's something that helps me start off my day with my phone on do not disturb, really focusing on setting my day up in a way that is peaceful and not, hitting the ground running first thing out of bed in the morning. And I know that's not something that's necessarily easy to do for everyone, depending on the season of life you're in. But that was something, waking up earlier and dedicating 30 minutes or an hour before the day really started, that has made such a huge difference in my life. So those are some of, like I said, the tactical things that I've implemented myself to really help battle that burnout and that stress cycle.
Perfect. Abe had messaged me that he had something he wanted to chime in on.
Yeah, hey guys. One of the things I wanted to add to this was basically that as somebody who's spent literally the last 18 years in one business for one company that was kind of basically under somebody's thumb as an employee, one of the things that I think about this business in real estate that you really have to look at is I guess the appreciation for the fact that you do work for yourself. You know, as an employee, you don't really get that opportunity. You've got somebody else telling you when you can and you can't take your time off. And I'm seeing already just how important it is that you make sure, as Penelope said, that you find a way to get your time in, to get your vacations in, to make sure your family time and all those things are in there. Kendall will tell you, I've only been in it a couple of months, and I've already asked her to pause me on leads and calls and things like that, just to make sure that I have that time. So, you know, I really wanted to make sure and express that as somebody who, you know, hasn't been doing this that long, that, you know, it's just super important. I can't stress it enough. It's one of the reasons I got into this business, actually, is to make sure that I had that time available and was able to take it for myself. So.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we talk a lot with people about when they're interviewing, especially people who are brand new to the business, is this is not a rainbows and butterflies business. It's not, it seems like it's just a lot of fun, and it can really wear you down. It can wear you down more in a different way than a 9 to 5 would, but it can wear you down a lot because you're always at someone else's beck and call. You're always at your client's beck and call. And if you don't set those boundaries up front and take control of the conversation up front, then they're going to be running you all over town. They're going to be asking for showings. They're going to be mad when you don't go jump to it, hop to it, and show them immediately. I had a really demanding, needy client one time. We had her house listed, and it had been on the market a couple weeks, not the same market that we're in today. So that happened. It had been on, I think, for about 3 or 4 weeks, actually. And we had a trip to Disney planned, and with my oldest, and I went and I told all of my other clients that I was going on vacation, but I didn't tell her that I was going on vacation because I thought she would be mad. And I thought she would be offended that I was going on vacation while her house was listed. She was very entitled and very difficult to work with. And so I just didn't tell her. So I was fielding questions from her literally the entire time we were on vacation, but it was taking me a little longer because I wouldn't be able to look up something online, or it was just taking me a little bit longer than normal to get back to her on things. And I had been really responsive and really quick to respond. And so she called my TC. Actually, I think Brenda was still my TC then. She called Brenda and was like, you know, Kendall's not being very responsive to me, and I need an answer on this. And it was something pointless. It was not something she needed an answer on immediately. And Brenda said, well, she's on vacation. Like, she's at Disney with her family right now. Sorry that she's not responding to you within 2 minutes, you know? And so then she got mad that I didn't tell her I was on vacation. And she was mad that well, I would have respected her time if I had known she was on vacation. She wouldn't have. But I learned right then that I really do need to tell clients that I'm going on vacation. And this is like couple years ago. This is not too long ago that this happened, 2 or 3 years ago. So I knew better than to not tell her that I was going on vacation. I was just worried about the entitlement and what she would say and how mad she would be. And then turns out she got mad anyway that I didn't tell her. And then she was mad and complaining that that it, I guess, made her look bad. So I always remember that when I'm going on a week, like a weekend away or something, if I have an active client or somebody who I know is going to be really needy, tell them up front that you are unavailable. You have people in place to help you. That's why we're on a team. We've got transaction coordinators. We've got each other. It's a lot harder than you would think to find your person in the business when you're just a single real estate agent, because it's a little bit isolating. It's cutthroat. People are competitive. They don't want to help you. They just don't. If you're an independent agent, good luck finding somebody that will help you with stuff. So take advantage of that being on the team. I'm serious. It is everything to have somebody kind of backing you up, and y'all can help each other. When you go out of town, you can help them. When they go out of town, they can help you. Like Carlos was saying on the department call, like, ask for help if you need help writing a contract or something. Just ask for help. We're all here to help each other. But you need to make sure, things will come up while you're on vacation and things will come up while you're gone, but you've got to make sure to be intentional about taking that time for yourself, or else it's for nothing. It's absolutely for nothing. You have anything else, P?
I don't think so. One other thing I guess I was going to say too is don't feel guilty about leveraging certain areas of your life. You know, if you need it, if you hate cleaning your house and it just completely drains you,
Yeah.
don't feel guilty. You know, if you have the means to hire somebody to come in and do that, why not? And so I think sometimes we definitely feel like we've got to do it all, and there's nothing wrong with leveraging certain pieces so that you can focus on those big rocks, as we like to say, in your life, you know, your family, your business, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you want to prioritize in your life. It's okay to leverage off the other pieces when you know, have the means to do so. So I think that's something that needs to be said as well.
Yeah. Hiring someone to clean your house, hiring meal prep or a meal service company. I have a friend who, he's a home builder. She's an attorney. She works downtown, has a crazy commute downtown every day. And their kids get out of school. One's in elementary, the other two in daycare, get out of school at different times. The one that is in kindergarten gets out early and then goes to the other boys' daycare after school, but there's not a bus to take them there. So literally the logistics that go into their day with getting the kids to drop off, getting downtown, him getting to whatever job site, which is different every day, what job site he starts at, getting the oldest from the school to the daycare, getting them from the daycare at the end of the day, basically just the logistics that goes into one day of getting everyone where they need to be is enough to overwhelm you. And our situation's a little bit easier right now than that because Tillman's at home, but once he goes back to work in the fall, we're going to be dealing with some similar moving pieces, and everybody's got something. Everybody's got some sort of weird situation that they're working around or that they're having to make do with or whatever. And you just kind of figure it out. But if you're not taking care of yourself and releasing that in your body and doing whatever exercise or taking some time to, people who meditate swear by meditation. I don't meditate, so I can't speak to that, but doing whatever it is to take care of yourself and give yourself just a little bit of time in all of that chaos it goes a long way. So that's, I guess, my main message is always make sure you're doing something every day to take care of yourself, whether that's getting up early and reading or working out or going on a walk at the end of the day, whatever it is to kind of clear your head and everything. And start, I mean, you'll notice when you start building up that stress, you'll start getting frazzled. You'll start getting antsy and anxious and feeling like you're being pulled in 15 directions. Be aware of your position and all of that and what you can control and what you can't control, and be aware of how you can like P said, delegate, organize, get hyper organized with your time, get very intentional with your time, make sure you're completing everything during the day so it's not waking you up in the middle of the night, that sort of thing. And putting off some things until tomorrow is okay. If they're things that can be put off till tomorrow, if there's not a deadline on them, that's okay. That should not wake you up in the middle of the night. So yeah, just getting organized and prioritizing your life and your schedule and everything that you're doing, delegating little things out to take things off your plate, just taking control of your life, kind of, which is easier said than done.
Does anyone else have anything to add? Nope.
I think Adriana had asked me, like, how do you know you're getting burnout? How do you know it's coming? Like, because you start eating like garbage. You stop eating healthy. You start eating drive-throughs 4 or 5 days a week for lunch. You start like going into a convenience store and getting like a Lunchable and a Coke for lunch in between showings. you're working from your car because you don't have time to get anywhere else, or maybe you're popping into Starbucks. You're drinking a lot of coffee. You're drinking a lot of probably wine or whatever your poison is. You're snapping at your kids. You're snapping at your spouse. You're short-tempered. You feel guilty about everything. You feel guilty about taking a night to go to dinner with your friends because you've been doing all these other things. You've been showing or absent for all these other reasons. So you start to feel guilty about enjoying anything at all. Those are all the signs, or my personal signs, that like it's going off the rails a little bit, and we gotta lock that down. So thanks for joining, guys. Sorry we had the technical difficulties and couldn't get it to work, but I'm glad y'all hopped on. And if y'all have any questions or thoughts, or if you want to talk about, if you're feeling that already and you want to talk about how to get back on track, let us know. We're happy to talk about it and help and share experience and ways that you might be able to channel it for the good.
Definitely. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.